Hey everyone, this is Mike Bohr with Venture Real Estate. Welcome to the first episode of Broker Insight. My goal is for us to gain perspective from industry experts and community influencers. Today, our guest is Brian Ritter with Bismarck-Mandan Chamber of Commerce, EDC. I hope you enjoy. I think the goal of the Broker Insight is to have viewers learn alongside me from really smart people like yourself.
Let's not get carried away. Let's not get carried away, Mike.
You're not the go-to. I mean, the go-to.
Well, in this room, maybe, but I'm not sure in the community.
Fair enough. Anyway, we'll get right into it. I think the questions that I wanted to ask you was related to our housing market. We did a 10-year look back recently that looked at the last 10 years and some metrics that we look at: median sales price, days on market, total properties that have been listed, sold properties, and overall we've had a pretty positive last 10 years.
I think what anybody needs to realize when you think about Bismarck-Mandan's growth is we can't put it in the context of just the last 3 or even 5 years. I think we need to look back longer than that. And that's what I appreciated so much about your look back is you get a truer sense of Bismarck-Mandan's growth by looking back an entire decade when you take into account a couple different swings that our economy and market have seen.
Sure. Well, and I think it's really important for us to acknowledge that our housing market is actually directly related to our economy overall.
Oh, very clearly.
And I think that's why it's important to have a conversation with you, and we have conversations often about how our economy is doing, and you're the expert, so I want to learn from you about what you look at, what metrics you look at when you're grading our economy.
So let's talk about jobs, because in economic development, in the chamber world, and now that we're one, most often and more often than not, we're going to be asked, what does our job market look like? And right now, if we use that 10-year look back that you talked about earlier, when you look at how many jobs we've added in this market over the last 10 years, it truly is astounding. I mean, we're looking at approaching 10,000 jobs added in this market over the last decade. That's significant growth.
Wow.
But now let's take it back to the last 12 months, because what I hear a lot in the market is people are concerned about a slowdown. And I think a lot of that plays into the fact that we're not experiencing oil boom-like growth at this point. And you know what? That's okay. I want people to understand that's okay, because people should understand that pace of growth is not sustainable.
Sure.
And so what we're experiencing now, I think, is a much more comfortable pace of growth for Bismarck and Mandan, and that relates to the job market as well. Take, for instance, the fact that we've added December to December, December 17, December 2018, this economy added 1,000 jobs.
Wow.
That's on top of the fact that in December of 2018, we still had a little over 2,200 open jobs throughout Bismarck, Mandan, Burley, and Morton County, and an unemployment rate hovering below 3%.
Wow.
I think every other community in the country would be envious of those stats.
Absolutely. So when we talk about jobs, I mean, you're talking about the numbers overall. What kind of jobs are we talking about? I mean, there's been a lot of restaurants and retail showing up, so I think a lot of people assume that it's just those jobs. Are there more jobs that are being added that are long-term jobs, career jobs? What are we looking at?
Oh, most definitely. And I understand the perception, because we have gone through a tremendous spurt of retail and restaurant growth. And so I understand when people want to talk about, well, all they are service level jobs. But the numbers don't back that up.
Sure.
So if you look at where those 2,200 open jobs are right now in Bismarck-Mandan's economy, the category with the single most openings is healthcare. But that shouldn't shock anybody either, because our two largest private employers are healthcare systems, and they're both adding jobs in addition to the ones they can't fill right now. Let's consider manufacturing, for example. When I talk about those jobs that have been added in this economy lately, let's talk about the fact that Bobcat now has over 1,000 people working for them back in Bismarck and Mandan.
Wow.
If you would ask me that question 10 years ago, when they laid off 475 people at the plant at 26th Street, and now you're going to tell me 10 years later they're back over 1,000 people, again, every community in the country would be envious of having that distinction. And on top of that, Bismarck-Mandan is still a white-collar destination. When you are a state capital, when you are a center of government like we are, you are going to have a certain amount of professional services that want to be here to take advantage of that building here in the background. Sure. That's just the way it is. So when we look at that growth, it's not just one sector, and that's one of the great things about our economy.
So a positive outlook on jobs.
Oh, I'm bullish.
Perfect.
I'm bullish.
Perfect. Love it. So what else do you look at? I mean, it can't just be jobs. What are the other metrics?
So if we talk about, so now we've created all these jobs. We've got all these more jobs in our economy. Well, they're generating more dollars.
Sure. And
so in Bismarck-Mandan, North Dakota, our retailers don't have to report sales and like that. So the best metric we have for all the dollars being spent throughout Bismarck-Mandan are taxable sales and purchases.
Sure.
So I'm gonna lay this on you.
Yeah.
Tell me if you're as amazed as I am by this number. But if we go back even further than 10 years, we go back to 2002. Think about Bismarck-Mandan in '02.
Yep.
We hadn't added even Pinehurst Shopping Center yet. We were
Correct.
still lacking some of those retail amenities. We were going to Fargo for things. We were going to Minneapolis, St. Paul. Well, all of a sudden, in 2002, we just crossed $1 billion in terms of total taxable sales and purchases. All the dollars being spent in Bismarck-Mandan surrounding area, we crossed $1 billion. Well, just like that, at the same time, we had 100,000 in population. Now we're economy of a new size. Then Pinehurst builds. Then we see kind of that first wave.
Yep.
Well, now, 2018, we're going to be about a $1.9, $1.85 billion economy.
So a double.
It doubled in 15 years, basically.
Wow.
It took our community's entire history to become a $1 billion economy. And in the period of the last 15, 17 years, we've almost doubled that. That's incredible growth. And people should be astounded by that, just like I am.
So that essentially measures business growth or business activity. The taxable sales is the best measuring stick of,
absolutely.
of activity within the Bismarck-Mandan area.
That's the best metric we have. So if we're going to take all the people who are employed, all the money that's being generated and paid in terms of wages, and then how that's getting spent in our economy, in our stores, in our restaurants, that taxable sales and purchases number is the single best metric we have. And again, we went from $1 billion in '02.
Sure.
I want to stress this for everybody. From $1 billion in '02, now all of a sudden we're sitting here at 1.85, 1.9 billion in 2018.
Interesting.
And guess what, folks? Our Q3 numbers, our third quarter 18 numbers, were up over Q3 17 numbers.
Wow.
So again, another positive sign for Bismarck-Mandan.
Interesting. So is it just those two things, or are there other things that we look at to, I guess, gauge the health of an economy? What else are you looking at?
So I think anecdotally, we're all creatures of habit. We drive around Bismarck-Mandan. We want to see what's being built, right?
Yep.
We want to see dirt moving. We want to
Yep.
see steel going up. And so when we look forward to 2019 and we talk about what's happening that gets us excited, what's one of those metrics of our economy, let's look at some of those capital construction projects. Look at some of those investments being made in Bismarck and Mandan.
Sure.
So let's go south of town and start off with. Look at the University of Mary.
Yep.
University of Mary now has a waiting list to get in terms of the enrollment for their students. They have over half of their freshman, sophomore class now is from outside the state of North Dakota. And they just announced this week, on February 12th, that they've raised $100 million over the last 3 years. So you've seen new construction on that campus already, and you're going to see even more of it with the new School of Engineering that is just getting underway right now. So that's one great project. Let's talk about things that keep people here, hopefully once they graduate, those quality of life things.
Correct.
So now we talk about something like the Heritage River Landing. I think everyone here is familiar with the fact that Meriwether's used to be down River Road and on the riverfront in Bismarck. Well, that building's gone now, but in its place is being constructed a gorgeous new building called the Heritage River Landing. And that will not only be the ticket office for the Lewis and Clark Riverboat, also be an interpretive center for the Upper Missouri Heritage area, as well as an event space. And so another great addition to our community.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think that area, there was definitely something left behind when Meriwether's was gone, and I think that will fill a big void for that space. It's kind of a cultural area that people think about when they think of Bismarck, and that could be a big landmark for our community.
Absolutely. And there are tremendous other examples of capital investment happening through our community, whether it's Dakota Eye Institute in North Bismarck. We've already talked about the University of Mary, whether it's a quality of life venues like the Heritage River Landing, or a new ballpark renovation in Mandan.
Sure.
We've got numerous examples of people reinvesting in this community. And people watching should take that as a positive sign. They should take heart in the fact that people are reinvesting in their community.
Correct. So you talk about healthcare. What's the healthcare world doing? Are there investments being made in the healthcare industry?
Well, that's a great point, Mike. And it's something that we should have touched on earlier because, again, when you look at Bismarck-Mandan's economy, and you and I have talked about this many times, picture Bismarck-Mandan's economy as essentially a pyramid, with retail and service being at the top, and our core four industries being at the bottom. And those core four are government, their energy, it's education, and it's healthcare. So everyone's pretty familiar with the Blue Lights of Sanford, and we've seen the tremendous investments they've made in our downtown. They're going to make a tremendous investment in North Bismarck, but they're not leaving the downtown, and I want people to understand that. They're not leaving downtown. They're doing a renovation of their tower right now, the top 2 floors. They are doing a new MRI center. They're making investments, but then again, so is CHI St. Alexis. CHI St. Alexis opened up 2 new urgent care clinics last year. They've got a third one planned to open up this year, and hopefully more expansion behind that. And on top of that, to fill all those facilities, what do we need? We need doctors. We need providers.
Absolutely.
We need nurses. And that ties it all the way back to that jobs market. We've got jobs. We're adding jobs. We're going to keep adding jobs. And I hope people take heart in the fact that we're doing so.
Absolutely. So if from my perspective, my focus is housing and the health of our housing market and our housing economy, and understanding that ties directly to the general economy. Can you give us an outlook? Can you give us are you bullish, as you would say? I mean, can you give us some confidence that we will move forward as a general economy, and therefore our housing economy will stay healthy?
Oh, absolutely. And remember, whatever I tell you, I'm paid to be an optimist, Mike, all right? But I'm
you
also
go.
one by nature, and quite frankly, the numbers back up that optimism.
Sure,
They back up that bullish outlook. Take a look at 2018. Sales tax collections in Bismarck up after a couple of years of decline. So now we've seen an increase there.
Yeah.
You look at our housing market, our average selling price went up last year again.
Absolutely.
New home construction, I mean, at least in parts of our parts of our economy, is still going up. Our existing home sales, yes, we have a lot of inventory in the market. We all acknowledge that.
Yep.
But the fact is, we're selling just as many houses as we were previously.
Absolutely.
I mean, even things like visitors. I mean, look at the number of people come to our market. The Bismarck Airport now has had 10 straight years of record boardings. So if we take all those numbers, 1,000 jobs added last year, sales tax collections going up, average selling price of homes going up, you combine that with the anecdotal evidence we just talked about, all the capital investment, all the building projects going on, how can you not be optimistic about Bismarck-Mandan's future? How can you not look at this and say, this is a great place. This is a great place to make an investment. It's a great place to settle down. It's a great place to stay.
Absolutely. Well, I think I heard what I needed to hear.
Right? You want to jump out that window and go do something right now.
Positivity.
All right.
I love it. Well, I appreciate you being on. I think this will be a continuous conversation. Things change quickly, obviously, and I think that we'll continue to do this and have you on as one of our guests. So I appreciate you being the first.
Well, I got no problem being the guinea pig, Mike, but I tell you what, I had a great time. And again, if people take one thing away from the segment today, hopefully it's that sense of optimism, and it's the fact that we have all the information, we have the data, we have the evidence to support that optimism, that Bismarck-Mandan has always been, and will always be a great place to live, work, and play.
Absolutely. Acknowledging that you're the expert. If people have more questions and want more numbers and data, where do they get that?
So you can always visit the Bismarck-Mandan Chamber EDC's website at www.bismarckmandan.com, or of course they can visit. They can take a look at your guys' social media over at Venture Real Estate. You guys do a great job putting that information together, but it's out there, folks. The information is out there. It's not tough to find, but I think that will support any decision anybody wants to make here in this housing market.
Awesome, wonderful.
All right, buddy.
Thanks for being here, Brian.
No problem.